What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with a collaboration with one of the brothers that I have met twice in real life. Okay, here on the continent of Africa, he's one of the fan favorites with a lot of brothers here in the Black male online community. I'm gonna let him introduce his name.
I am Ronald Neal, Ronald B. Neal, and I am here in the great state of North Carolina. For privacy concerns, I'm not going to say exactly where I work, but I'm happy to be here once again with O'Shea Duke Jackson. Good to be in company with him. Hadn't seen him since the last time I was in Nairobi back in the summer of 2024. So
I think I think the last time I saw you you were here, but it was December, Christmas time.
That was not this past Christmas, but I did come during the Christmas holidays. That was Christmas 23, 24.
Okay.
Last 24, but
right.
I was there back in July. Yeah. July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
And you put up a very interesting video, a live stream.
Yeah.
That a lot of brothers, some of them did like and some of them didn't like, which is called Pandemonium 2.0 with Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that because Donald Trump is the president, it's a necessary evil for Black men. What do you mean when you say that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just look at what Donald Trump is doing right now. I mean, he is exposing so much that has been kind of concealed in the U.S. And I'm going to say this. I'm not saying this because I'm a Trump stan or a MAGA person or whatever. I'm a political realist.
Okay.
I'm a political independent and everything like that.
Okay.
I didn't support Kamala Harris's, candidacy.
Okay.
And I knew that it would, she would be another distraction in my mind.
Okay.
It was my perspective that, the issues of the economy, which are very big,
right.
Prices, inflation, those things are very, very important. Immigration was a very, very, big thing in the election. Black people were really feeling it, particularly your lower income Blacks, working class Blacks.
Okay.
The people in Chicago, they go on to war with Brandon Johnson out there.
Mm-hmm.
Over that, you've got Eric Adams in New York City. Mm-hmm. He's been going at it. He was going at it with the Biden administration and everything.
Right.
So those are just two examples from a larger issue, man. That the
right.
Democratic Party had flooded the country with a whole lot of illegal people. You know what I'm saying? And that's a real thing in terms of the prospects of Black people in general, but Black men in particular. Mm-hmm. And then there were the international issues. What are you going to do with Ukraine? What you going to do with Israel, Russia, right. All these other things. And so the Democratic Party was destroyed by Trump. Okay. And the Democratic Party, up until the election, has it's monopolized the Black vote and everything like that, and it has been a master of deception in terms of the language of being about the underdog and inclusion and all that kind of stuff. But it's been another party that is in cahoots with with billionaires and everything, and they try to dress it up with diversity and inclusion. Anyway, so Donald Trump destroys the Democratic Party, and now the Democratic Party is like it's like a chicken running around with its head cut off. You know what I mean?
Why do you say that?
Yeah, because they have no leader. They have no leader. They have no leader. in general, no one singular person, but they don't have a cadre of leaders, right now, that can move it forward. The thing about it is that Trump did not win just based on like Republicans alone. Trump won based on swing voters, independents.
Yes.
He did that.
Democrats himself.
He won based on mad Democrats. Okay. He won based upon protest voters. So you got people who normally would either vote for the Democratic Party or vote, who are independent, who would lean primarily third party independent, but they were so frustrated and angry with the Democratic Party. As opposed to voting for independent, they voted for Trump. Okay. Or they are a traditional Democrat who was so frustrated with the Democratic Party that instead of sitting out or voting third party, they voted against Kamala Harris and voted for Donald Trump. You understand? And so now, as a consequence of that, the Democratic Party is in disarray. You had all the stuff. I mean, they had gone overboard with abortion. They had gone overboard with the trans stuff. They were not really dealing with the economy. They were just really dealing with very extreme impulses on the left, which don't amount to anything in terms of bread and butter, things that really, really matter.
Okay. In your honest opinion, being specific, because you're one of the few academics in the world that really focus on, FBA, African-American male, traditionally African-American male experiences. And you mentioned that the Democratic Party has been used not as a tool just to destroy Black people as a whole, but in particular, Black men. And so with these swing voters, and I noticed in certain places, especially in certain counties, like Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, we saw a slew of African Americans, notably Black men, voting for Trump in Milwaukee County. We know Georgia was a swing state last year. I mean, the last election, then we saw a lot of Black men coming out for Trump in Georgia. And we saw even in Nevada and Las Vegas, I believe, I forgot what the county, Henderson, that county, I forgot the county that Las Vegas is in, but you saw a lot of Black men coming out in Nevada, and that's in that particular Clark County, I believe, or what Clarkson, I don't know, you guys can tell me. So what made Black men, because in 2016, it wasn't so many Black men for Trump outright, but in 2024, Black men were trending on Twitter, formerly now X, formerly Twitter, YouTube. Well, what's been happening in these 8 years is so many Black men are standing on business for Donald Trump. What was it about them that changed their perspective of the DNC?
I think with Trump, it had to do with the fact that he had already served one term. That was a big factor. He had already served one term. The world didn't fall apart. Right. It didn't come to an end. There are a lot of guys who got tax breaks, with his tax cuts. There are a lot of guys who they benefited economically under Trump's first term. Okay. So, that was a real thing, you know what I mean? And I think they had time. I think what happened, because Trump has been out there for 10 years, at least a little over 10 years, 11 years. He started this campaign back in 2015 when he ran for 2016 and everything like that. And I think once time passed on, and the idea that he was or is a white supremacist and all that kind of stuff, once that kind of dissipated and stopped being a thing for people, they began looking at more Black men began looking at other issues. They began looking at the money. That's the bottom line. It's the money, where the economy is going, Again, gas prices and all of that, food prices, and again, it's the immigration thing. It is a real thing, and then at the same time, I think that it became apparent during Biden's 4 years. All right, that the Democratic Party is just weak. It is just weak when it comes down to matters pertaining to black men. I'll give you an example. So, Biden during his first term, he had the House, and he had the Senate. Man, he could not get the George Floyd. They had this George Floyd Policing Act, which he tried to get through Congress, and they couldn't get it through. Matter of fact, you had people, Democrats, who were opposed it. All right. Then after that, there was the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Okay. That didn't go through. Okay. Biden never came out. Here's the thing. So you see Donald Trump issuing executive order after executive order after executive order, pushing stuff for his people. Biden never came out, despite the fact that he got like 90% of the black female vote. Almost what he got, like 92 or something like that, or whatever. He got 88% of the black male vote. All right, despite that fact, and him becoming, POTUS in 2020, he did not stand up for the group that has been most loyal to him. Okay. And so I just think that was just apparent. I think it was apparent. When he opened the borders and just allowed millions and millions and millions of people in, which was deliberate. Now people understand, by the time, but Trump, as Trump announced his return, in 2023, it became clear. And the question is why are you flooding the country with all of these illegal people? You know what I'm saying? Why are you doing it? Who benefits from it? You know what I'm saying? And the question is, and the question is, not the question, but the reality is that a lot of black folks don't benefit from it. Okay. Right. You understand? And so, and this has been a real thing. And so, you had that drum beat, man. And I think Trump again, was persuasive because just as he did in 2016, he went to Baltimore when he did that his famous, what do you have to lose speech to black people. You know what I mean? I mean, that was kind of the seeds of it. And then when he came back out in 2024 and campaigned, he went hard in the paint again. You know what I mean? He met with black Republicans in South Carolina. He went to where black people were, in Atlanta, Georgia. You know what I'm saying? He showed up to black people where black people can be found. And he said, vote for me. And I know what you're going through. I know your struggles and all that kind of stuff. And he got, some support in the podcast community and beyond there. And I think that, those are the things that helped him increase his support among black people, particularly black men. You understand? Okay. And I think really, in the other part of it, I think this black men, you have a lot of black men who are simply just frustrated with Democratic Party. And then you have young black men. Don't forget, you have young black men who are voting for the very first time. Okay. Right. And so they don't have the baggage like, people our age, you know what I mean? And that is, they're not indoctrinated, you know what I mean? And so they're more open to, different perspectives and what have you, you know what I mean? And I think in general, his appeal to black men was connected to his larger appeal just from the male population, because the male vote was a powerful thing this time around, you understand? Whereas the Democrats normally count on women taking them over the line, this time it was the men, okay, that pushed Trump on the line, and that was something that no one anticipated.
Yeah,
no one anticipated. And then the other part of it is that the Democrats really hurt themselves. They hurt themselves with their issues. They hurt themselves, constantly talk about climate change and the transgender stuff and LGBTQ and abortion. You know what I mean? Just dealing with stuff that has nothing to do with bread and butter, putting food on the table,
right?
Putting money in your pocket, putting investments. Can you imagine the number of crypto guys who voted for Trump? You know what I mean? So they're not talking about real tangible things, And I think that people this time around, it was like, you people are not serious, and you don't care about us. And then there's the anti-male thing. The Democratic Party has a man problem. Because much of its language and rhetoric is anti-male. You know what I mean? You have all these women congressmen, Congress people rather, AOC and Ayanna Pressley and other people like that. And you got Michelle Obama, she lecturing black men at the DNC and other places.
Let's talk about that, because many, and that wasn't just Michelle Obama, but also Barack Obama. Joe Biden, but before, if you don't do this, you're not black. And go ahead.
No, that was a big thing. They hurt themselves when what they did was, and this is what has been consistent with them for the past few elections, which includes midterm elections and what have you, is that they would have this panic over the possibility of large numbers of black men voting Republican. Okay. And so, you had people, we saw this, this time around, the D.L. Hughley and all these other people, talking about black men and why they need to, vote for Kamala Harris. And you had the rappers come out there. Luther Campbell was out there. You had Bakari Sellers. And just to add on top of that, Barack Obama. Barack Obama, I think he sealed the deal for Trump. That's what he did. Obama sealed the deal when he was in Philadelphia in that swing state, and he was talking to a group of young black men who were already, on his side. I don't know. Actually, I don't know who he was talking to, but I know he was being strategic. He was being deliberate in how he approached the issue. And he basically, as we all know, condemned black men. You're a sexist, you're a misogynist. That's what they kept saying. They were saying it on CNN, they were saying it on MSNBC, talking about Al Sharpton was calling black men sexist. That's why they don't want to support Kamala Harris. That is not a way. That's not a way to motivate people politically to get behind this person. You understand what I'm saying? You're gonna tell me you're gonna call me evil and say that if I don't vote for her, I'm an evil person, I'm wicked, and if I'm reluctant, or if I have a certain opinion about this particular candidate who happens to be a woman, that my opinion about her is misogynist. I'm gonna tell you personally, man, I was pissed off. It really pissed me off, man. It further emboldened me when I went to vote in November. Okay, it was Obama, and I said, you know what? I'm not. This is really not about Kamala Harris. This is bigger than her. This is about Obama and the Democratic Party, because Obama, during his 2 terms, he took more than one opportunity to condemn, to ridicule black men, to say all sorts of nasty things to us, always calling black men pookie and stuff like that, and belittling the intelligence, the work ethic of black men. He did that so many times when he was in office, man. You know what I'm saying? And he would never talk to white women the way he talked to black men. Right. He would never talk to the Jews that way. He would never talk to black American women most importantly, he wouldn't talk to them that way. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't talk to white people that way. You know, he wouldn't talk to anybody who wasn't a black man. He would not talk to them like they're children, ignorant, stupid children. You see what I'm saying? And I think, at least for me, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, I was already determined not to vote for Kamala Harris, but that right there, that drove the stake in the coffin.
So basically, what you're saying is you are not like, okay, I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump, but because like you was not gonna vote for her. Like some people just didn't vote at all. Like I'm not gonna vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. However, because of that interaction, it made you to look more into Donald Trump.
Yep.
Okay. And let's talk about this because I noticed that shout out to Brother Nagone in your video. He said, okay, well, if Donald Trump is disbanding the Democratic Party, what is MAGA going to do for you? And one thing you were talking about to me before the show starts is like, we also know that there is some people that says a very outright racist element of MAGA supporters. We understand that, right? There's some people on the alt-right are also pushing for Donald Trump. And, you know, me as a pro-black, you know, I'm hard body, you know, it's a lot of pro-blacks who don't have too much of a problem. I mean, obviously, we do have a problem with the alt-right and what they're saying about blacks and stuff like that. But when it comes to, oh, you want to be over there and we want to be over here, that's completely fine with us. Like, and people are wondering, how can black men support Donald Trump when he has an element of people such as the alt-right who are kind of attached to Trump, and that membership is there? How can black men, being that, you know, some supporters of Donald Trump are anti-black, and we know that white conservatives are always like, you know, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. That's always been offensive to black people. You know, kind of not talking down to black people like the Democrats do, but they also do it themselves. So how is that when black men know that about white conservatives, some of them, and how are they still able to vote for Donald Trump and not Democrats, but knowing that they have that element there?
Well, the thing is, like, here's the thing. I would say, you know, you're dealing with the devil that you know. You know, you're dealing with an element in American society that is unambiguous. You know, in no way do I support those factions or what have you, or identify with any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I would say, I mean, I don't call myself MAGA. I'm not MAGA. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm pragmatic in what I do. Okay, and this is business for me. This ain't about me being buddy with anybody who happens to be on the right. You understand what I'm saying? This is business. This is about money. This is about dollars. This is about cents. This is about the bottom line. This ain't about no cosmic morality and us getting together. This is not about, you know, the creation of some, you know, I don't, and that's the thing, I don't share the kind of sentiments that you find among a lot of the liberals who kind of have a dreamy, utopian, Disney World fantasy approach to politics and life and everything like that. And here's the thing, and it's real basic. Here's the thing: when I say the devil that we know, and I did a video about this about 2 years ago. You know, contemplating, you know, these shifts and everything like that, and whether black men should entertain the Republican Party in light of the faction. Okay, because I do think that that extreme faction, you know, is a turnoff for a lot of people and what have you. But here's the thing, man. You know, I'm born and raised in the South, man. You know what I mean? And, you know, I grew up in Florida, and, you know, I've lived in Georgia, I lived in South Carolina, Tennessee, and everything. And I'm here in North Carolina, man. Let me say, man, I've seen Confederate flags. I lived in South Carolina for 7 years. I lived in the capital, Columbia. You go to, and this is before Nikki Haley was the governor. When I lived there, you can go to the Capitol, and at the steps of the Capitol, they have the American flag that's waved up high, and right beneath the American flag is the Confederate flag. Okay, and that flag, and I'm talking about, I lived there from 2007 to 2010. Okay, and that flag has been there for generations. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
The NAACP waged a boycott back in the early 2000s, which was unsuccessful against that flag. Okay, but here's the point. Let me tell you something, man. I'm a runner. When I lived in South Carolina, there was a place called Orangeburg. I would go running, and I would, regularly see, these white dudes with big pickup trucks with shotguns with Confederate flags. I've had these dudes, I'm running on the side of the street, dudes try to run me over. You understand what I'm saying?
Whoa!
And yeah. So I've had that type of thing. All right. Now, did that stuff intimidate me? Did it keep me from running? Okay. I got business to do. You understand what I'm saying?
Hello.
The same situation happened to me in North Carolina. Okay. Where I live, where I've gone running. All right. White dudes in pickup trucks tried to run me off the road. Hell, old white dudes in sedans, Mercedes sedans. Okay, and here's the class thing. You get some old white retired dude in this sleek Mercedes sedan trying to run me off the road. You understand?
Wow.
And that was as recent as 5-6 years ago. You understand?
Okay.
But I bring up these stories to say is that this is the real world for us. You understand? And that we don't run. You don't know in my day-to-day environment. I don't make no distinctions between no liberal and conservative and all this kind of stuff like that. Right. I live in a county that's primarily Democrat voting and everything. Okay. Yet somebody try to run me off the road in a Democratic county. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You see, and so this is about common sense. You understand? And what's the common sense? When you talk about bread and butter, you talk about economics. Those things matter. Okay. Now, if you're a businessman, okay, you want to lean towards somebody who's gonna, be in your best interest in terms of business. You understand what I'm saying?
Regardless of racial tensions and all of that,
Yeah, regardless.
We already accepted as black men. We already know that's gonna come with it.
And here's the thing. What do I do about these crazies? I mean, I live in a state, we got the Second Amendment. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I'm a
open carry.
We got the Second Amendment in anybody. I go to the range, there are black people at the range, there are white people at the range and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm like, we've been living, black people have had to live this forever. All right? In the South, Jim Crow, slavery and all this kind of stuff. So this idea that there are no racists on the Democratic side, I mean, Joe Biden, he wrote that crime bill. I mean, Joe Biden, he was in cahoots with Strom Thurmond. He was in cahoots with other Dixiecrats, people who had left the Democratic Party in the 60s and became Republican. You understand? James Byrd, people like that, man. You know what I mean? He ran with these people and he was comfortable with them. This was a guy who opposed, desegregation in schools and all that kind of stuff in Delaware. You understand? So you're talking about a man. I mean, hell, this is a man who has a history that is unsavory. Yet somehow or another, in 2020, he becomes this new person. He's like this new white man, and that we just have to ignore his history of kind of overt racism and subtle racism and all that kind of stuff. This is the same man who was surprised to meet Barack Obama. He was like, oh my God, a black man who can put two sentences together. This is an amazing thing. And he's running for the presidency, That type of condescending thing. And there's a whole bunch of people like that over there in that Democratic Party. A whole bunch of them. And what they do is they will bring us around them or whatever, and they would treat us like we are children. Okay, they'll pat us on the back or what have you, and and they think that just by us standing next to them, that's real empowerment. You understand what I'm saying? So what happens is we get caught up in being a token. We get caught up in being a symbol and all that kind of stuff, and standing next to white liberals who have power but not have any power. You understand? And so the thing is that you have to broaden. You got to broaden your analysis. We have to broaden our analysis of this type of thing. And and the reality is that the Democratic Party, where it was before it was basically dismantled by Trump, it was already in a place that was deeply, deeply detrimental to the black male population. Okay, this Democratic Party, it is anti-black male, it is anti-male in general, it is anti-working class. Okay, and the thing is, I would hate to be, a young 18-year-old guy just coming out of school. I'd hate to be where I was when I was 18 years old, trying to make it in the world. You understand? And you got this party, who was anti-working class. You know what I'm saying? I worked at Target. I worked minimum wage jobs when I was in my 20s, up until the time I got my first professional job, bro. You know what I'm saying? I went to college. I worked part-time. I worked full-time. I worked in warehouses, $7 an hour. And that minimum wage never changed. You understand what I'm saying? And Bill Clinton and Biden and the rest of them, they were responsible for outsourcing and sending all those jobs, all those companies to other countries, you know what I'm saying, to exploit cheap labor. They were responsible for bringing in all these immigrants in here and exploiting them for cheap labor. You understand? The Democratic Party did that. Now, they did it with the help of the old Republicans. Right. But the point I'm trying to make is that they got dirt on their hands, too.
Right.
You
understand? Exactly.
So why should the black men, I would say that black men, you approach it as a realist, as a business person.
Right.
We don't, if you're going to deal with this Republican Party, you don't deal with it in the same way that we have dealt with Democratic Party. You understand?
Right.
Wanting to be hugged, want to have a, pat on the necks. These black people, if you just study the relationship between black people and the Democratic Party just in the most recent years, you look at Jasmine Crockett, this chick that's always the congressperson from Dallas, Texas, and you look at her record and you look at the way she talked about Joe Biden and defending this man, I'm like, she's super mammified. You understand what I'm saying?
Right,
for this party. And there's a whole bunch of people out there. Stacey Abrams from the same way, and so you got a party that reduces us. It's funny, they call it conservatives and Republicans, but the real are over there. You understand? A whole bunch of them. And they you know what I mean, just for chump change and just to be close to these people. You know what I mean? I mean, look at what Kamala Harris did with her campaign, and Meg Thee Stallion had a twerk fest. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. She's always around entertainers. D. Hill Hughley and Steve Harvey and all that kind of stuff, belittling our intelligence. Right. You N-words are dumb. N-words are dumb. We don't take you seriously. We don't have to talk to you in a mature fashion. All we got to do is get the minstrels, get the clowns, get all the clowns together and have a fluffy conversation that has no substance whatsoever
at all.
Okay. Get some chicken and some collard greens and what have you. You know what I mean? You Negroes gonna vote for us. That's it. Now, if that's not racist, brother, I don't know what is.
That's true. So, some people, I've heard some of the brothers and stuff arguing about this whole concept of DEI, diversity. What is it? Diversity,
equity,
and inclusion, right? Okay. So people are, saying like, hey, some of the companies are, I know Elon Musk has been a real big guy against DEI and things like that. And so people are saying, hey, this is going to affect black men also, since, affirmative action has also been banned. You can't use affirmative action for colleges anymore, things like that. What do you think about, with DEI being removed? Do you think it has any effect at all with black men, or does it actually help black men now, since it's going to be gone in certain places?
Good question. I would say, before these recent shifts, DEI had no bearing on black men. DEI, the way it is practiced, diversity means, first and foremost, it means hiring white women. It means hiring white gays and lesbians and transgenders, first and foremost. So first and foremost, DEI is white. DEI is primarily about gender and sexuality. Okay. And then after you have the white women, then you have and the LGBTQ, the white LGBTQ. Okay. Then behind them comes black women, black LGBTQ, Latinas, South Asians or whatever. But they stack the deck mainly with women. Okay. After that, you get lucky if you're a black man. You're going to get lucky.
Okay.
Typically, I'll just say, just to be generous, I'll say that black men, particularly if you're a heterosexual black man, you're a straight black man, you're the last in line when it comes down to DEI. So you're not going to get any real preferential treatment. You understand? Mm-hmm. And all you have to do, and I tell anybody, all you have to do is just look at a handful of corporations, that have practiced DEI, and you look at their marketing materials, and you look at their websites, the ones who haven't already scrubbed their websites, because they're scrubbing the websites right now. But if you were to study this stuff, like, I would say this, because it really kind of blew up, after the George Floyd stuff. But it was the face of DEI, even though white women are the main beneficiaries.
Right.
The primary face of DEI was a black female, black woman. Okay, that was in the marketing and the promotion. You understand? So black men, we never really benefit from it. So it's like you can't miss anything that you've never had. You understand? And that takes us to this deeper issue of even affirmative action, because when it comes down to affirmative action, it was, again, white women, the primary beneficiaries of affirmative action. You understand? And then after white women, then comes the other women. And again, if you're lucky as a black man, you benefit from it. You understand? But in general, the reality is, especially when it comes down to higher education and it comes down to employment, black men are not the beneficiaries. Okay. And so America's policy is, black man, pull yourself up by the bootstrap. It's the Booker. Right. America has a Booker T. Washington policy towards us. They're not going to lift us up.
So, and it's crazy because George Floyd is a black man that died. So then the company started, let's DEI, get our diversity hires up. And none of those people, for the most part, was the person that died. So basically, George Floyd, it seems like, in a way, was sacrificed for another agenda.
He was. Not in a way. He was sacrificed. Yeah. In fact, if it, and I said, because I write about George Floyd. I write about George Floyd in my book, Beyond Death in Jail, Anti-Blackness, Black Masculinity, and Demonic Imagination. George Floyd, in his lifetime, let's just say DEI existed, with affirmative action, he would have never been welcomed in the world of DEI. You understand? George Floyd would never be, especially in the professional world, mainly the professional world. Okay. You take somebody like George Floyd, and you insert him into these places. Take him to CNN. So CNN got so much to say about DEI, or MSNBC. They have so much. what's her name on Joy Reid. She has a lot to say about it. Abby Phillips has a lot to say about it. The View has a lot to say about it. You couldn't put George Floyd right there at the table with Whoopi Goldberg, Sonny Halston, Joy Behar, and any of them. He would scare the bejesus out of them. Okay, and he wouldn't make sense. His whole life would not make sense to them because diversity and equity and inclusion doesn't include him.
Right.
There's nothing about who he was and his existence, how he came up, or anything.
Right.
So yes, right. It was here's the thing. Remember, George Floyd's body was tied to Trayvon Martin's body. It was tied to Alton Sterling. It was tied to Mike Brown, Jordan Davis, Tamir Rice, Eric Garner. Remember now, George Floyd. That's what my whole book is about. George Floyd is tied to a long list of dead black men and boys who were killed either by the police or by private citizens. Okay. And so after a whole decade that happened, the corporations was like, oh my God, because George Floyd's death was so horrific and so dramatic, right? That they were like, oh, we gotta do something. And then they start amping the DEI, and then who benefits? The middle class. It's basically people who are in the middle class, people who are upper middle class, and what have you. That's what happened.
And if I'm not mistaken, DEI is more catered towards people who want to get into upper management, right? Like, this ain't just let me hire you at Target as a cashier. These are people going towards the upper level of higher management and trying to matriculate up in corporate America, right?
It's all corporate America, and it's all upward mobility in corporate America. So you're like, okay, where are the managers? Where are the they don't want too many of us as CEOs, right? But they want the other executives. They want executives and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Or in universities, who's in graduate school and stuff like that, and who gets money and all this kind of stuff. What are we going to fund? Under the auspices of Black American or what have you. And then then there's the women's stuff. So remember, Goldman Sachs was a part of DEI. $10 billion. Okay.
That was DEI. $10 billion, right?
Yeah, that was Goldman Sachs. That was DEI. That was DEI. Wow. Yeah, so it's upper management. It's in the corporate world, working in the corporate world, but it extends to stuff like Goldman Sachs. Okay, we're gonna set aside all this money for a whole bunch of black women entrepreneurs. And just them. That's it. Investment money. That's it.
Got it. Okay.
No black men.
Yeah, that was clear. And I be trying to tell brother, they're gonna be hating. I said, listen, man, they starting off with DEI now. But like I said, one thing I've been noticing about white men, I'm seeing even with Elon Musk coming out. A lot of white guys are kind of tired of being discriminated against. You see what Elon Musk did with Twitter, while Twitter turned to X, helps Trump win the presidency, and now he's using Donald Trump to get back at South Africa and white South Africans. I'm like, white men gonna start standing up for themselves more. So black men are gonna really have to get on ball. They get mad when I say that. I'm like, hey, you can get upset. Oh, you abusers. Like, man, these white dudes they're tired of being at the bottom or they're trying to come back and take back what they think is theirs. And so it might not be necessarily against you, but they're definitely, I've been seeing some jobs like, we want white men only. So white men are going to be starting to put the pressure on to help themselves a lot more. And black men got to get with the program or they're going to get left behind. Because
I mean, and here's the thing. This is what the world is. This is what the world is. This is what the world is right now. Where the world is going. I mean, this is all over Europe. This is Europe. Okay. The world has shifted to the right. Okay. And liberalism is dead, brother. Right. No. That's what I'm saying. This is a logical, common sense, business thing. Okay, that you have to deal with. This is about power. Black men have to engage power. Right. Okay, power doesn't have to like you. Okay.
Hello.
It doesn't have to invite you to cocktail parties. All right. This is not about being popular. Okay. Let me tell you something, man. Let me say something. If a white person, a white racist person, and this is history. If a white racist person sees a black person that has something that they want in terms of skills, and that black person can add value to it,
they're gonna hire him.
You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna hire him.
They're gonna hire him.
They're not gonna care about that kind of stuff. It happens all over the world.
All the time?
It happens all the time. We don't, and that's the other thing. This is a common sense thing. We don't have the luxury of saying, okay, I'm only going to work for a white person who's not racist. This is some nonsense. You know what I'm saying? This white person is racist, so I'm not going to work for them or whatever. You know, it's like you got to think, okay, think about this scenario. You got some white man who's racist who's offering you a job, okay? And damn guarantees a job. He got a job on the table, right? And you got some other white man who, let's say, he's non-racist, and he's only giving you the possibility of a job. We want to interview. We want to take you through like 4 or 5 interviews, and then perhaps we might hire you. Whereas this racist guy, he didn't put a job offer on the table. What you gonna do? As a black man, it's that's just it.
Right.
It might, no, it don't sound strange. This is how
it works.
It works. This is how the world works.
Right.
And it makes no sense sitting around calling these people racist all the time. You know what I'm saying? And everything like that. I mean, and again, it goes back.
Right.
It goes back to our history. This is our history, brother. This ain't nothing foreign. But the thing is that the people on the left and the liberals, they have played such a psyops on us, right? They have convinced so many of us that they are the good people, that they are the people with all the morality and all the virtue, and that they're on the right side of history, and that they got your best interest in heart. You understand what I'm saying? When in actuality, they have all they have done is used us, the way in which a pimp uses a prostitute. You understand? And they're so good at it that we don't even recognize ourselves as prostitutes in relationship to them. You understand? We think this is a good deal. Joe Biden is one of the biggest pimps in the world. Okay? This man was able to come back from all his racist stuff, and then he comes and you see what he did with Kamala Harris? I mean, if that wasn't some pimp move, do you think Joe Biden really liked Kamala Harris? He don't like Kamala Harris. Joe Biden used her for strategic purposes. There was no overarching cosmic purpose in him selecting her as a vice president. There were other people he could have selected, but he chose her for a particular reason. He knew that she was going to fail. He knew she was going to fail. And I suspect that, he was, I'm just speculating, given how he was snatched away from the nomination and everything like that. I suspect that he was glad that she failed. And as some people on the internet have speculated, he might have voted for Trump.
Yeah, he was definitely I think he put on a MAGA hat on accident, or I don't know if it was on accident, because he's acting like he couldn't talk. And then that last concession speech, he sounded very coherent to me. But let's talk about, before we close out, the book that you have, and what the book, let's kind of go a little bit of detail about the book that you have there.
Yeah. So this book just came out. It came out last year. Matter of fact, This month last year is 1 year. It's just, the 1 year. Matter of fact, the 14th, Valentine's Day will make the 1 year anniversary of his publication. Beyond Death in Jail, Anti-Blackness, Black Masculinity, and a Demonic Imagination. Basically, it deals with the whole Black Lives Matter period. So it deals with the time that Trayvon Martin was murdered on February 26, 2012, until the very anniversary of his murder, and that was February 26, 2022. Okay. And it deals with all the murders and stuff like that. So the names that I've already named so far. And so the book, it deals with the real situation with Black men, a situation that this country has ignored, that the intellectuals ignored, the politicians ignored, and all this kind of stuff. The Black male condition has been characterized by this death in jail thing. And there have been real efforts politically to avoid all interventions, not just to avoid, but to deter, to derail any type of interventions that would, help to improve the condition of Black men. We talked about affirmative action again. Affirmative action, we're talking about stuff from the 1960s. Affirmative action was never used to target the Black male condition in the United States. And that is for real, deliberate political reasons. Okay? The country, the ruling class, and I talk about the ruling class here, the oligarchs and stuff like that, they were deliberate. They said, we're going to go with women. We're going to empower women for the next 60 years. We've been told that race has been a part of this 60-year story in terms of racial empowerment. No, but the actual thing is, over the last 60 years, we've seen more advances for women, okay, than we have for people who are Black American, okay, particularly Black American men, okay, and it goes deep into the politics of why that exists. But here's the thing. This book, the latter end of the title talks about what I call the demonic imagination. And simply, what is this? Is that we Black men are plagued with the belief that we are inherently flawed, that there is something deeply deficient about us. And the reason why so many Black men find themselves challenged to navigate society and move up the ranks is not because they're dealing with the hostilities of a white capitalist society. It's because there's something wrong with them. We lazy, we ignorant, we don't want to do right, we can't do right, all these kind of things. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And this is demonic. This is demonic. You have taken an entire population and said that this population is obsolete. And this population, not only that, but is dangerous, in and out of jail, is threatening to all kind of populations, threatening to women, threatening to gays and lesbians, threatening to white men, white women, threatening to other Black people and stuff like that. That's the demonic. And so why is it that Trayvon Martin, a 16-year-old, gets killed the way he was in 2012? Why is it that Tamir Rice gets shot down in Ohio? Okay, a 13-year-old boy just playing with a gun, police just rolls up on him and just blows him away. You understand? Why is it that Jordan Davis, a teenager, sitting in the car with some other teenage boys, they playing some music, rap music, white man gets mad, pulls out the gun, and starts blasting at them all, kills Jordan Davis? Okay, it's because in this society, we are seen as monsters and savages and wicked and evil. And people like myself who have tried to overcome that and challenge it have been met with much resistance, because it has been in the interest of many forces, ruling class forces, to keep Black men kind of in a suppressed, censored condition, so that we would not compete. We would not be able to compete with everybody in the world. So this is what the book deals with right here. And okay. I criticized our politics. I criticized academics, the media, a variety of forces, which I argue stigmatize us in ways that are abominable. Yeah.
Okay. So, brothers, I will put the link in the description there, or in the pin to the top. It's been a long time coming. I've been trying to do this for about a year with Dr. Ronald Neal, but we finally got it. I met him twice, I believe, almost in one calendar year. So hopefully I'll be seeing him when he comes back to Africa. So, guys, I bought the book myself on Amazon. I'm waiting to get it now. So I want to thank him so much. Any last words, Dr. Neal?
Yeah, man. I just want to thank you again, and it's good to have this conversation and what have you. And I just want to say this. So I know we had a lot of conversation about Donald Trump and everything like that. I promote the idea of Black men being independent. Okay, and what that means politically is that Black men are not beholden to any type of political party or what have you. A Black man can affiliate with any political party, right? But you don't have any obligation, right? So it's like in the last election, Black liberals or Black Democrats and other Democrats were trying to shame Black men into supporting Kamala Harris. And they did so with the assumption that somehow they own Black men. Okay, that you can tell Black men how to vote, who to vote for, and that kind of thing, and treat us like kids, right? On the other side, you know what I mean, you might have some folks who are Republicans and what have you. They don't do it to us and to that degree or whatever, but you might have people who are hardcore Republicans say, you need to be a Republican, you need to be a Republican, all that kind of stuff. And I say to that, I said, no, you deal with your interests. Independence means pursuing your interests, going wherever your interests are reflected and supported and advanced, that sort of thing. So I want to make it clear about that. So as I talk about that, like politics, it's bigger than any political party. Now, if you want to attach yourself to the political party, that's fine. I'm politically independent, but if I have to, I will vote for a Republican. I'll vote for a Republican, and it may be at some time that I will change my political affiliation from independent to the Republican Party. It may happen. You understand? I tell you this: Hillary Clinton was the last Democratic politician that I voted for, the last one. But the point is independence. You see right here this thing called my avatar, BMI 3000, Black men's independence. That's what I promote. So I want to end with that, man. Thank you, brother, for the time and being so generous and sharing your platform and everything, man. You all don't understand how generous O'Shea is. I was in Uganda the first time, man. This brother, man, just laid out the red carpet for me, man. I really appreciate that, brother, man. And I told you I'm gonna come back to Uganda, and I got some unfinished business to take care of in Uganda. So you appreciate it, man.
They don't know Uganda is gangster though, but they're gonna find out. But so thank you so much, Doc, for coming on. And guys, I put his YouTube channel. I'll put it at the pin in the top. And the book also, go support our Black academics, male academics. We out.